I was pretty devastated when Clyde said he'd gotten a job opportunity outside of the city. It was a high paying journalism job. Well, high paying for journalism, anyways. In a small town called Meyer, roughly 4 hours away. Clyde was my best friend. We started out as middle school brats who hated each other. Then, as I got to know him, we found out we had a lot in common. We became decent friends. We were inseparable in high school and college. I damn near saw him more than my family at one point. Well, we almost were family in a way. Even though I had time to cultivate other friendships, Clyde's departure left a hole in my heart. I started to hear from him less and less, and then after 4 months, he disappeared entirely. He reached out to me recently, though I doubt I'll be able to hear from him ever again. It was the end of a standard drunken bender, and I checked the mailbox in my apartment. Somehow, I managed to prioritize it instead of throwing up in the toilet. There was a hefty package inside, and I pulled it out. I probably made a lot of noise in the process. It looked like a small treasure chest, and inside of it was a journal. The stench as I opened up the chest made me gag. I puked in the trash can nearby. It smelled like corpse. Expired mustard coating it. Pretty unpleasant, to say the least. Wondering who shipped something so nauseating to me, I angrily flipped open the journal. I recognized Clyde's writing immediately. I left the rancid chest on the mailroom floor and hurried upstairs with the journal. I took a moment of post-sickness clarity and decided I would read it when I was sober. Or at least hungover. The headache was definitely there in the morning. But it didn't deter me from reading my best friend's bundle of writing. I mean, if he shipped it to me, then I assumed he wanted me to read it, right? I flipped it open. I will share what was inside. The journalist in him would want you to see it too. April 19th. With issues coming from the radio tower today, mine has no internet. So I'm going the old-fashioned way. It's been 9 days since I've arrived, and my parents insisted on coming to visit me. They arrived this morning, and are already sticking their noses up the state of this town. Snobby. I'm stuck with them for a week too. There's nothing wrong with folks who are a little different. At least they're friendly here. Though the radio tower incident is odd. I turn on any speaker, radio, boombox, you name it, and all the channels are this weird humming sound. I've never really heard it before. I hope it gets fixed soon though. April 22nd. My parents seem to be adjusting in their short stay, though I'd wish they'd leave. Kinda mean for me to say. I spent a good portion of the weekend fishing with Dad just outside of Meyer. The tower is still upright in the distance, but I haven't seen anyone go up the hill to fix it. It's interesting. Everyone in Meyer seems to like the sound. I don't know. I've heard it playing in stores, and even people sitting outside on their porches or in their yard. Folks are still friendly, but quieter. Some of the storekeepers had a unusual starter. I can only imagine the snooty remarks my parents will say to their real estate buddies back home. April 25th. I woke up to the sound humming throughout the apartment. Mom and Dad seem to be loving the sound, and I gotta say, I barely even notice it. They're in great spirits and extended their stay for another week. They told me they hired a nanny to look after Lex, that she's just thrilled. What I have noticed, however, is lack of anybody going out. The streets, they're clear. I took a walk and saw nobody walking. Hell, even the convenience store was closed for no reason. And speaking of odd occurrences, for some reason I'm drawn to the radio tower. I decided I'm gonna make a story on it. It'll be a good headline for the sleepy town. April 26th. Mom was sitting in the middle of the hallway at 3 in the morning. She was staring blankly at the little stereo that was at the end of the hall. I flicked the lights on and she snapped out of whatever trance she was in. Scared the shit out of me, honestly. Looking out the window later that day, I noticed our neighbors' windows were open. They looked like they were in trance too, staring at what I can only imagine was a stereo. So I took a stroll and peeked in. Sure enough, just like how Mom was, they were sitting, staring at a very old stereo. I tapped the window and they snapped out of it, staring daggers at me. Mom seems to be getting cold and distant with me, and Dad still hasn't came back from the fishing trip he had this morning. I'm gonna go out and look for him. Mom says he's fine, but keeps putting up that irritating sushing gesture with her fingers every time I bring it up. Does she not love him anymore? April 27th. I found Dad. He was in the nearby pond where we were fishing. He was laying down the boat, staring at the radio he brought with him. He was so fucking sunburned. He had blisters on his face. It's been hot much earlier this year, but holy shit. When I snapped him out of it, he got into a bit of a spat. I threw the radio in the pond, and he punched me. Something's wrong with this. I tried calling for a technician, and the phone just blared that stupid noise. My service is significantly weaker too. April 30th. Things have gotten pretty bad here. I'm slowly losing my mind. I don't know where to start. I snapped my fingers out of their trance and they threw a trophy at me, shattering their own window, and I ran for it. I saw a kid outside for the first time. She was pretty upset, saying her parents keep eating things, including their pet cat. The kid seems coherent. I would call the cops if I could, but I got nothing. No signals. The radio frequency changed. It's got what sounds like growls and murmurs in it too. Mom and Dad have stopped talking. They stopped baiting. I can't really communicate with them. They don't listen. The stores aren't open, so I broke into one to get some food. I found the clerk there, mindlessly swinging at the speakers, playing the sound. He was an elderly man, probably hadn't eaten or bathed in days. I snatched up some food and water and left. May 1st. My speech is going. I catch myself stuttering. What the fuck is going on? I'm gonna investigate the tower and hitchhike out of here. Someone or something shut off the water and power. I've been getting by bathing in the pond and going into town to snatch food. Call me a criminal if you want, but I have to do this. I caught Mom eating a centipede off of the floor, still unresponsive to me as I shrieked inside. May 2nd. I watched helplessly as Mom and Dad dove from the second floor balcony. I think Mom snapped her leg on the way down. I followed them and they ran away from me. Mom didn't make a sound either. I eventually ran out of stamina. I hate having asthma. I eventually caught up to them. They halted themselves against a light post, holding each other. I heard them giggle and hum. They refused to move, and I was met with resistance trying to drag them away. I want to get the hell out of Meyer, but I just can't leave them here. May 4th. They fucking ate her. The little girl I saw last week, my parents did it. I saw them on the side of the road, chewing on the remains. I recognized the polka dot shirt. Oh God. I recognized the polka dot shirt sticking out of my dad's mouth. I attacked them both, and they didn't even flinch. My mom's broken leg is swelling up and she keeps licking it. Dad keeps picking at his fingers. The skin around his nail beds are pretty much gone. I'm seeing people walking outside now. None of them respond to me, and they're all walking towards the radio tower. I don't see any children or pets either. I can assume what happened to them. I smashed every speaker, stereo, phone, anything that could play that sickening noise. I can barely talk myself, but I still have my brain intact. I don't know what I'm gonna tell my sister. I think the nanny might have to stay a little longer. May 6th. Mom, Dad, and several other broken, starving people have congregated around the tower, sobbing. They have been there since last night. Every time I come into view, heads turn at me. They look at me, staring and drooling at me. Staring and drooling at me. I can hear where the traffic is coming from outside of town. I'm making a break for it. I've deduced this frequency coming from the tower affects people by their age. If they've eaten all the kids and animals, I know I'm gonna be next. In a contingency, I'm writing this out to your address. Bobby Bolton. Hopefully someone sees this package on the road, should I meet my end. The last entry had red stains lining on the paper. After turning over the journal, I noticed the back was caked in what looked like dried blood. May 8th. Bobby, you gotta tell Lex we're gone. I'm so sorry. I have to put this on you. I made it to the highway, but I'm not the same man as before. I can't talk. God knows why. They all chased me as I left town. Most of them dropped on all fours and barreled towards me. Their noises were... I'm not sure humans could even make that. I had no way of protecting myself, but Their bodies began falling apart as they chased me. I saw Mom and Dad's skin wilt and tear as they chased me amidst the crowd. I didn't even notice, nor did I hear the oncoming military trucks until it was too late. Must have been looking behind me all too much. They opened fire on everyone. I took some stray bullets. One tore off half of my ear, probably popped a lung or something, with the other. It hurts to breathe. They must have presumed me dead or cursed like the rest of them. They went deeper into the town, probably to clean up the rest of it. They left me behind. I saw them take out the radio tower too. Whatever it is, I doubt you'll hear it on the news. Something tells me they'll cover it up. They're good at that. The only thing I hear now is humming and growling. Tell everyone you know to stay away from Meyer. I doubt anything's standing by the time you get this. If you see this shitty antique chest, you better fucking open it. I was lucky to come by it in the ditch. Bobby, you showed me friendship that I'll cherish forever. I know you'll make more friends, and I hope you show them the amazing things you showed me. In the next life, we'll play all the games you want. In a way, I love you, man. Clyde DuPont. I couldn't hold back my emotions, reading the last words of my best friend. All this time he was suffering, and here I was, feeling sorry for myself, being a drunken bastard. I couldn't be there for him. He died alone in a ditch, covered in filth. How am I gonna tell Lex about what happened? But I have to. She has to know. If you see a turn in the road towards Meyer, keep driving. It's a dead town, and for all of our sakes, it should stay dead.